PART1 approximately equals 700 words. I never thought silence could feel heavier than anger, but that night, it did. My name's Evan Howe, and until 3 months ago, I believed I was the kind of man people didn't mess with. Not because I was loud or aggressive, but because I was steady, reliable, the guy who showed up early, left late, and never gave anyone a reason to doubt him. That illusion cracked in my boss's office, that his name was Grant Whitmore, mid-50s, polished shoes, polite smile that never reached his eyes. I'd worked under him for 6 years. Promotions promised, bonuses delayed, respect always just out of reach. Still, I stayed. I had a wife at home, a mortgage, a life that depended on stability. That afternoon, Grant leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled, smirk already forming before the words came out. "Funny thing," he said casually, "your wife's spending the night with me." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't joke. He watched me carefully, like he was studying a reaction he expected to enjoy. I didn't argue, not because I believed him instantly, not because I was weak, but because something in his tone told me this wasn't a bluff. It was a test, a flex. The kind men like him pull when they think they own everything in the room. I stood there, face blank, heart pounding so hard, I thought he could hear it. "Oh, was all," I said. He smiled wider, satisfied, dismissed me with a nod like I was an intern who'd spilled coffee. "You can go." I walked out of that office in a daze, rode the elevator down with 3 strangers, and stepped into the parking lot like gravity had doubled. My hands were shaking as I unlocked my car. I sat there for a full minute, staring at the steering wheel, replaying his words. If you've ever been hit with news that rewires your entire sense of reality in one sentence, you know that feeling. If this already feels heavy, take a second and hit like, so this story can reach the people who might need it. My wife, Lila, and I had been married for 9 years. She was warm, expressive, always the one pushing me to open up. Friends called her sunshine because she filled a room without trying. We weren't perfect, but we weren't broken either. At least, that's what I thought. I drove home slower than usual. Every red light felt personal. When I pulled into the driveway, her car wasn't there. No panic yet, I told myself. She worked late sometimes, yoga nights, dinner with friends, inside. The house felt wrong, too neat, too quiet. Her shoes were gone from the entryway. So was her overnight bag. I checked my phone. No messages, no missed calls. I sat on the edge of the bed and laughed once, quietly. The kind of laugh that slips out when your brain hasn't caught up to reality yet. Then my phone buzzed. One text. From Lila. "Don't wait up. I need space tonight." No explanation, no heart emoji. Just a period at the end, like a door closing. At this point, what would you think? Comment below. Was this already over? Or was there still something worth saving? I didn't reply. Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't trust myself to say the right thing. Or the wrong thing. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every interaction from the past few months. The late nights, the distracted answers, the way she'd flinch when I reached for her sometimes, then apologize like it was nothing. Grant's smirk kept flashing in my mind. That night, I didn't sleep. By morning, shock had burned itself into clarity. I wasn't going to confront her with accusations. I wasn't going to beg. And I sure as hell wasn't going to give Grant the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. I showered, dressed, went to work like nothing had changed. Grant looked almost disappointed when he saw me, like he'd expected tears, rage, a scene. I gave him none of it. All day, I worked quietly, observed, noted things I'd ignored before. Emails he asked me to forward him, meetings he insisted on having behind closed doors. The way people lowered their voices around him. By lunch, a plan had started to form. Not revenge. Something colder, cleaner. If you've ever believed the best response to disrespect is silence followed by action, type the word clarity in the comments. Because here's the truth I was starting to understand. When someone underestimates you, they show you exactly where they're vulnerable. And Grant had no idea what I was capable of when I stopped caring about pleasing everyone else. That evening, as I sat alone at the kitchen table, phone face down, house still echoing with absence, I made one decision that would change everything. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to finish this properly. If this story already feels like something someone you know should hear, consider sharing it. Some lessons only land when the timing is right. By the third night, Layla still hadn't come home. No calls, no explanations. Just silence heavy enough to press against the walls. I didn't chase it. I didn't flood her phone with messages asking why. I'd already done enough of that kind of emotional labor over the years without realizing it. Instead, I focused on facts. Grant Whitmore wasn't subtle if you stopped looking at him like a boss and started looking at him like a man who thought. Rules were for other people. His calendar was carelessly open. His assistants rotated too often. Expense reports got approved without questions. He lived like someone who'd never been told no. I stayed late that Friday, not working watching. Around 8, his office light finally went dark. 10 minutes later, his name popped up on the shared building access log I had legitimate access to. He hadn't gone home. Neither had Lila. That was the moment denial officially died. I drove home, poured a glass of water, and sat at the kitchen table again. Same chair, same silence, different mindset. This wasn't about anger anymore. It was about dignity, about deciding what kind of man I'd be after this. Lila finally called just after. Midnight. Her voice was soft. Careful. Evan, we need to talk. I closed my eyes. You're with him. A pause. Too long. Loud enough? I didn't plan for it to happen like this, she said. It just did. I didn't raise my voice. Are you safe? Yes. Then don't. Come home tonight. Another pause. What does that mean? It means I'm not arguing, I said. And I'm not begging. She whispered my name, but I'd already ended the call. I slept better than I had in weeks. Monday morning, I walked into work with everything lined up. Copies of emails, expense records, witness timelines, not scandal patterns. The kind HR departments can't ignore when lawyers might get involved. Grant called me into his office before noon. He looked irritated, not smug this time. Sit down, he said. I didn't. I'm resigning, I said calmly. Effective immediately. His brow furrowed. You can't just... I can, I interrupted. And before you say anything else, I've already forwarded documentation of repeated policy violations to legal. Personal use of company funds. Abuse of authority. Conflicts of interest. His face drained of color. This is extortion, he snapped. No, I said. This is me choosing not to protect you anymore. For the first time, he looked unsure. I walked out without shaking his hand. By Wednesday, Lila was back, standing in the doorway like a guest unsure she was welcome. I made a mistake, she said. I thought I felt invisible. He made me feel seen. I nodded slowly. And now I feel stupid. That's not the issue, I said. The issue is you didn't talk to me. You replaced us instead, she cried. I didn't stop her. I didn't comfort her either. We talked for hours. Not to fix things, just to understand what was already broken. By the end, we both knew the truth. Trust doesn't survive silence, and it definitely doesn't survive betrayal dressed up as confusion. She moved out the following week. At this point, Do you think walking away without drama is strength or avoidance? Share your perspective in the comments. This is where real discussion matters. 2 months later, Grant Whitmore was quietly let go. No press release, no explanation. Just gone. I took a job at a smaller firm. Less pay, more peace. The kind of place where your name mattered more than your obedience. Sometimes late at night, I still think about that smirk. About the version of me that might have exploded, argued, begged, or broken down. But here's what I learned the hard way. When someone disrespects you openly, they're daring you to lose control. When you don't, you take their power without lifting a finger. If this story made you reflect on boundaries, loyalty, or self-respect, comment with one word that describes what you choose in this situation: pride, P-E-A-C-E, or justice. I didn't win in the way movies like to show. There was no public apology, no dramatic showdown, just a quiet rebuilding of a life that finally felt like mine again. And that was enough. If you found value in this story, consider liking, commenting with your thoughts, and subscribing. These stories exist to explore hard truths, shared experiences,